First and foremost, I want to thank each and every one of you, whether you vote for me or not. You've heard my story, you've welcomed me into your homes and businesses, you've listened to my ideas to solve our problems, and most importantly, you've offered your own solutions. Second, I want to thank my fellow challengers in this campaign, Brenda Bethune, Mark McBride, and C.D. Rosa. We don't agree on all the issues, but I believe their hearts are in the right place. And no matter who wins, I hope we can work together to make America's favorite family beach the best it can be for tourists, businesses, and residents alike. By now, it's pretty obvious I'm not a polished politician. I don't believe it's possible to know the answers to our problems, but I do know how to find the answers. That's what I've been doing for almost 40 years. Now, there are those who think the only issue in this campaign is public safety, and while it's true that your safety is at the top of the long list of crises in Myrtle Beach, it's painfully obvious that the crime is just a symptom of a bigger, deeper, and more insidious problem. The number one issue in this campaign is incompetence. It's staggering failure to lead by the city council and mayor. It's a glaring history of bad decisions, secrecy, behavior that's been going on for years. This is what happens when there's no transparency. Decisions are made behind closed doors. Government tries to pick winners and losers. Boards and commissions crush the small businesses with arbitrary and subjective decisions. When any government believes it has unlimited, unchecked power to tax and spend, then all it does is tax and spend. My heritage is largely Irish, and at the time of America's founding, Irish philosopher Edmund Burke believed that all that is necessary for evil to succeed is for enough good men to do nothing. But that is why I entered the race for mayor, and I'm hoping it's why you're watching this video. Working together, good men and women can accomplish anything. But before I outline my approach to fixing our broken city, let me put one issue to rest. I will not raise your property taxes. I'm a tax cutter. I'm not a tax riser. The chamber and incumbents are spending hundreds of thousands claiming they gave you the largest property tax cut in history. So what happened to all the revenue we used to get from property taxes? Think we could still operate without those revenues? Plainly, they didn't really cut your taxes. They just shifted them. That's what they do best. Anything shifty. So to raise millions for advertising, they promise to use all that money to cut your property taxes. So we'll be looking at every tax, including how the so-called TDF is spent, not on whether it includes your property tax reduction. For Ed Carey, here's the bottom line for 2017. First, the whopping $220 million debt this council has racked up is an outrage. It's the direct result of you so-called leaders treating you like mushrooms. There's no transparency and almost no oversight. I was shocked to hear the Mayor Rhodes say that he didn't trust the voters to make the right decisions on the tourism development fee. He's made a lot of dangerous and ill-advised statements, but in my book, when an elected official won't allow a vote in a referendum because he doesn't trust us, it's time for him to go. And with all due respect to John Rhodes, he's supposed to be working for us, not for big businesses, not for big donors, and not mysterious Chinese investors. First, it's time to think outside the box on every issue, from crime to infrastructure, transportation, and parking. Second, it's time to put citizens first, not campaign donors. I was warned that Mayor Rhodes and the incumbents would have their disposal whatever money it takes to ensure that your vote for the incumbents. But I have to admit, I sure don't expect to be overwhelmed with scores of mailers and tens of thousands of dollars in TV and radio and even billboards, advertising that not only promotes the mayor and incumbents, but that flat out lies about me and my beliefs and intentions. Frankly, I find it disgusting and threatening. If you, like me, cleaning up this campaign nonsense will be on top of my agenda. Third, it's time for a comprehensive review of public safety, not last-minute solutions thrown at us after dozens of years in office, and not political gimmicks like 100 officers now. We have a fine police, fire, and rescue personnel, but we don't have enough of them, we don't pay them enough, and they deserve better. So I'm ready to put together my public safety task force, experts in the field of public safety, gangs, domestic violence, the drug epidemic. Did you know South Carolina is #1 in America in domestic violence? And we are #1 in South Carolina. Our leaders have known this for years and done nothing. We certainly need a special focus on victims, abused women and children. It has to stop, and at whatever cost. Fourth, we don't have a parking problem, we have a welcoming problem. Folks who own homes along or near the beach cannot have their streets and yards clogged with cars, whether the visitors are from Carolina Forest or North Carolina. But this is not a difficult problem. I want free parking for city residents and local residents alike. Frankly, I want as much free parking for all visitors. We can provide more lots and take down the toll gate that says, "You're welcome, pay here." And that money can be better spent supporting our local businesses, not the city's Downtown Redevelopment Corporation, the DRC, which won't exist if I'm your mayor. As important, we have a problem with cars, too many of them, especially during the peak season. So I'll be unveiling a fantastic new people mover system that is much cheaper than those big, empty coastal RTA buses and much more energy efficient. And it will provide a way for folks to get around and spend their money and leave their cars parked at their hotels. Fifth, it's time to streamline our city government. I'll begin with a zero-based budgeting process. Every single expense will be on the chopping block, every single revenue source examined. We will leave no stone unturned, no expense overlooked, no practice ignored. I believe in unleashing capitalism and small business, not more government. There will be no more secret backroom deals. I will demand a full and complete and routine forensic audit of the Myrtle Beach Chamber of Commerce and any other agency that receives our tax dollars. There is no doubt they can fill an important function for our business and tourism, but as long as they're receiving over $32 million a year from you, everything they do will face scrutiny. It's time to shine a bright light on local government and its relationship with various organizations. We have no choice but to expect and demand full transparency. As for the embarrassing and least unethical decisions to secretly buy out and even threaten eminent domain to destroy valid businesses under the guise of building a new library and museum, that process will end the day I'm sworn in. Just this week, after months of lies and double talk, our mayor announced that they're not really sure they're going to do with that super block. Really, I'll tell you what we're going to do with it. We're going to allow free enterprise to turn it into a thing of beauty and attracts locals and tourists alike and generates real estate taxes instead of more public debt. Finally, there are three things that absolutely must happen that we can avoid facing this kind of nonsense year after year. It's time for term limits. My proposal is no more than 2 4-year terms for the mayor and council. You know why? No term limits, no change. Since the last thing we need are more career politicians, then the first thing we need is term limits. Hey, if you can't get it done in 8 years, get out. It's also time for single-member voting districts because every neighborhood and every individual deserves our representation. Our founders called that taxation without representation. And finally, it's time to move on these elections from odd number of years when only the privileged few vote to even number of years when thousands more vote. Last year, 15,000 citizens cast a ballot, but in our last mayoral election, less than 3,600 votes were cast, just to decide on how to spend our money. Let me end with this. Issues change from year to year. All sorts of natural and man-made disasters happen without our control. The key is to elect leaders with the experience and expertise to launch initiatives and follow the law to make sure that our own government is not yet another man-made disaster. I don't know about you, but I've had enough. We can do this, folks. It's been kind of bleak and dark around here for a while. But I believe in my heart that Myrtle Beach is on the edge of a new spirit and cooperation and growth. I'm ready to head up the team that gets it fixed. With your vote on November 7th, we will get the job done. Thank you, and please vote for Ed Carey for mayor of Myrtle Beach.